Welcome, AP Physics, to our asynchronous day. So this is obviously the day where we are not going to be together, and you're just going to have to figure stuff out on your own. Okay. So to help you out with that, go ahead and go through the slideshow today, and you're going to see we've got our agenda, our homework things that are due, and the planner link. And you guys should be spending about 110 minutes today total on this assignment, and some of that may bridge into other days, so that's possible. Notice also with the homework today, I just want to back up a little bit there, but the lab that we're going to do today is due by Friday, and so just keep that in mind. You will have some time to work this up. You should get most of it done today. Okay. We will be working with partner groups for the lab that we're going to work on today, so it's really important for you guys to establish that relationship with your partners and figure out when you're going to do the work together. But this one is going to require you to actually do a lab at home. Okay, so we'll get into that in a minute. But here's the groups right here. They're probably a little different than last week because we've had some shuffling around with numbers and things like that. So you'll want to go ahead and see who's in your group. And if there's something new going on, you're going to want to reach out to that new person and get them into your group. And if you guys would just use Google Classroom and go to the People's tab, I'll kind of show you how to go there. So in the People tab, you guys could just go ahead and say, hey, I want to email the student. So you just click this little thing right here. It says email the student and get in contact with that student, which also means you should probably be checking your email if someone else is trying to contact you from our class. Okay, so going through our lesson for today, make sure you've gone into AP Central and registered yourself. There's a few people that still haven't done that yet. Okay. Our physics equations. We haven't really introduced these physics equations yet, but we're starting a new unit right now about kinematics, which is basically just how we study motion. And these kinematics equations are part of our physics 1 equations. Now, these physics equations are going to be super important as we work through the year. In fact, I would say you should never really even approach physics problems unless you have this sheet in front of you. So go ahead and print this sheet. Okay, so I notice right here, here's my physics equations. And they look like this. They've got my constants, they've got my SI units, metric prefixes for some conversions, the trigonometric function ratios, and on the next page we have all our formulas. And the main formulas that we're going to be working on right now are in the mechanics section, these first 3 formulas right here. We're going to work on those for about the next week and a half of class or so. There's also some geometry and trigonometry to help you out here, but most of the other stuff here we're going to get to later in the year. But this is going to be super important. I would go ahead and print out this sheet right here. You got it in front of you. You're using it for all of your problem solving. Okay, so that's our AP equations. Now, one thing to notice with the AP equations is as we get into this linear motion idea, we're going to be studying motion that's sometimes going at constant speed and sometimes it's accelerated. But whenever you're thinking about acceleration being 0, okay, you're going at constant speed, all of these can just go ahead and cross off the variable that has acceleration in it. So this like whole chunk right here, I can cross it off. And then I've got like a formula that's left over here. And that formula that's left over is actually our constant velocity formula. If I resort this, it just says like velocity equals change of position divided by time. And that's basically our constant velocity formula. So it's right there for you. We're going to use that a lot this week. Also, as we get into kinematics here, we're going to notice that there's like the big 5 formulas, and these are all just taking those formulas that are in the 3 and reworking them. And it's good to have these somewhere where we can see these. We'll be using these throughout this whole kinematics unit. So there's some resources for you. Now to get started today, I want you guys to go ahead and do some reading in the online textbooks. And if you notice that the links are right here, all you have to do is click on the link, open up the textbook and do some reading and take notes in your journal. And we're going to be using the readings here to help us with our problem solving as we move forward. Okay, so this is kind of the basic ideas around motion. And you're then going to get into a Khan Academy set of modules. There's going to be 3 modules that deal with average velocity and average speed. And so if you guys would go ahead and do those and complete those in Khan Academy. And then the next thing we're going to do is get together with our partners. And so this is the one where we're going to make sure that we communicate well with our partners. And we're going to do a lab called walking and running. And with this walking and running lab, you are actually going to need to have one set of data with a person walking. And that could be anyone in your group. Okay, you could choose, you're going to be the walker today, but that person is going to need to have like a meter stick or a tape measure or some kind of a way to measure distance. And also, you're going to need to have some sort of a way to measure time, and that's probably going to be on your phone timer. And as you work through this lab right here, you're going to want to get like at least 10 data points, but you want to basically walk through a series of either 10 evenly spaced areas. Okay, so you maybe have marked on the floor like this is 1 meter, this is 2 meters, this is 3 meters, something like that. And then you could use your lap timer and time your way through. So just walk at a slow, constant speed and like time and then hit your timer as you go through those. Another option would be to go for like a constant timing. So maybe you're going to walk outside and then you're going to drop like a piece of popcorn or something per se, like every 5 seconds. And so you could be like looking at your timer, and every 5 seconds you drop a piece of popcorn, and then you get a tape measure out and you measure the space between those. Okay, so either one of those methodologies, you come up with your methodologies, will work, but you can kind of see the materials you're going to need. The other thing is, one of your partners is going to be measuring walking speed, but another partner is going to be measuring their running speed. And so for that, they're going to have to use the same unit systems that you used. And so collaborate with your partners right now and figure out who's going to do the walking, who's going to do the running, and what system of measuring are you going to use. And now this is a little tricky because of the fact that you're different places and you have different resources. So you want to figure this out. But the goal is going to be to create a data table that's going to have distance and time. And in your data table, you should be looking at your distances and your times accumulating. Okay. Now that's different than intervals of distances and times. Now, one of the things about the lap timer in your phone, and I kind of put a picture up here to notice it, is when you lap time, it actually is going to show you the intervals, unless you can like switch the mode of your timer somehow to accumulate. But with your distance and your time, your distances should be going up like 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters, and your time should be going up like half a second, 1 second, 1.5 seconds, stuff like that. Okay, and if you have a bunch of intervals, you're not going to get a slope on your graph that you're going to create afterwards. You're just going to get like a flat line. So make sure you're doing accumulated time. Now, the directions for the whole lab are here, and you're going to see this in Google Classroom, and the example graphs are here. So if you don't know how to set up these graphs, I want your graphs to look just like mine. Okay, and so basically you're going to want to set it up in similar ways where we highlight information, we put it in separate columns, we get different series. You're going to see all that stuff in my example graphs. Now, this lab is going to be done, so you're just going to have one lab for the whole entire group, and you're going to put all of your partners' names at the top of that lab. And so again, that's going to look like a lot of people look like they have a missing assignment in the gradebook or in the Google Classroom. But really, as long as you have all of your partners' names on the one lab and then you're collaborating together on that one lab, that's how we're going to get this done. Now, this one's not actually due till Friday, but I'd like you to spend some good time on it and get most of it done today. And then you can kind of clean up the edges on it, ask questions when you're in the synchronous class, that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's it. The last thing to do, this is especially important for asynchronous class. Now, for you asynchronous people, I have no way to know that you attended class today unless you fill this form out. So fill out the attendance form today. If you don't do it, I'm going to mark you absent. Okay, so make sure you do that. All right, that said, guys, have a great day.